ton of different directions these teams can go in picks and bans. Based on some things that Clearlove has said about Bengi, this is one of the scenarios they are targeting Bengi as a jungler because they think he is the weakness point that they can attack, especially because he's only shown success on those two banned champions now.
Yeah, whenever these two have been banned, he's gone for something like Gragas, and we haven't really seen the same impact from him. Clearlove, he's shown multiple junglers beforehand. Sejuani has been a big pick for him. SK Telecom has to expect that coming in from Edward Gaming, and that gives them a very, very strong team fight, which we know they love to play around.
Yeah, and there's also some big power picks here between Urgot and Kalista, as well as Rek'Sai were the three that we were thinking about. So at this point, I'm a little bit surprised SK Telecom banned Twisted Fate and then didn't force either an Urgot or Kalista ban on the other side, because now it's going to be either they get Urgot or they get Kalista, depending on if the ban from Edward Gaming is Urgot or not.
So the reason they banned Twisted Fate here is it's a bit of an empty ban, because what they want to happen here is that Urgot Kalista is open and they can take the Urgot away, because I don't think they're too afraid of Deft on Kalista. He needs to prove some more how he can perform. So if you get Urgot now for Bang, you should win that lane matchup.
Whoa.
That would be very different though.
That is
Clearlove
really
would
different.
take
Of course they're going to take
anyway.
Urgot now.
Clearlove would prefer Sejuani over Gragas. He's never been a big Gragas player.
And it means they can lock down the Thresh.
Meiko has played Thresh.
Meiko has played Thresh 7 of the 8 games, and he's such a playmaker. It also works extremely well with the way Edward Gaming is playing here, because they're opportunistic with the tendency to go too far some of the time. When you put Meiko on a support like Thresh, the Lantern can get them out of so many precarious situations. And this early draft phase looks incredibly favorable for Edward Gaming. They will be giving up Kalista, though, to SKT.
Yeah, so clearly SK Telecom is happy enough taking that bot lane matchup for themselves, but I still think this Gragas is not necessarily needed as a first pick because of what Clearlove likes to play. It does, however, mean you also get your first top lane pick, and this is going to be a big deal because both these top laners also share somewhat the same champion pool. Maokai has been a big one for EDG. That's taken away by MaRin.
But we did mention how it is extremely difficult to approach this pick and ban phase because the 2 picks that SKT just locked in, they're going to have Bang on Kalista, which is undefeated in competitive history, 7-0, and MaRin on Maokai, who is now 15-1 with it in competitive play. It's not like SKT is getting denied anything. It's just these teams are sharing their champion pools.
And that is the crazy thing about the current meta, where there's so many viable champions in each role. As long as you have a team that can master close to every single one of them, you can have these pick and ban phase where suddenly you start banning away things like Twisted Fate, Alistar, start banning junglers, and there's still so many good picks open for both teams. Another one is going to be the mid lane matchup here. Cassiopeia and Azir are both open. They were banned last time by EDG against Easyhoon, but now we've seen they can also play them. Can they play it at the same level, though, as the Hoon in the mid lane?
We'll have to see. We do know that Maokai continuously now being picked up by SKT because it's a for sure lane. And once they can get to that late game fight, it has been theirs. Even down 10, 15,000 in gold, we do see the rest of them locked in. And it is going to be now the counter for Pawn in the mid lane. His LeBlanc and TF were taken away.
Yeah, so obviously the Annie-Kalista is going to be an incredibly strong dual lane. I expect a ton of action in that bottom lane, especially since they've opted to go with Easyhoon in the mid lane, who typically doesn't receive as much gank assistance. Pawn gets the last pick to go against Cassio here, though.
And we can really see what SKT have been
Did you learn Orianna?
During Jad, I know you live.
I've been so excited about Orianna
here. Let's wait and see what it is.
Yes!
There you go.
I've been talking, the official can attest to this all week, about whether or not Orianna will be seen at the midseason invitational, because it is, in my opinion, such a great enabler, especially in tank teams that can put shields on the guys that are stacking resistances, which is what's happening here. Pawn also played Orianna back in 2014. Yeah. He just hasn't played it at all this year, even in the playoffs where Godby was crushing some games on it against EDG, and now he brings it out.
But here's the problem with this pick here, also with the jungle pick for Clearlove, is your 2v2 mid lane between Orianna and Sejuani. It is not very strong. Your 2 ultis are very easy to flash out of in terms of skirmish fighting. The Cassiopeia Gragas combo is going to be a lot stronger for SK Telecom, and they play so much around this mid lane control because that leads into pink wards in the river, which leads into these dragons they always play around in the early game. So this is going to be very risky for Edward Gaming in terms of the mid lane matchup.
Well, we do know EDG prides themselves with a +5 in the category of fight mechanics, so maybe they can round up that Glacial Prison and the Orianna Shockwave to come in big. Jat, as you were looking at kind of the Oriannas, you found out that most of the teams that placed second were really playing the Orianna, not able to get to the first to be the champions of their region. See if Pong can change that.
Let's hope it's not a curse to play Orianna all the way to second place, but they're bringing it out in the finals here.
Right.
This is going to be awesome.
All right, let us know who you think is going to win the Midseason Invitational. Tweet at LOL Esports and use the hashtag SKTWin or EDGWin. We'll see how you are calling this series once we are on the Rift and we are about to see what these teams have for each other. EDG has consistently made early game moves towards the bot lane, seeing if there's an opening there. They've also tried to adapt early game very quick to put themselves on the board first. SKT, we have seen, has fallen behind without having an aggressive early game.
Well, if you look at SK Telecom and back in Korea and LCK, there's only really been one team who played this aggressive style of Fnatic and EDG and AHQ. That was the KT Rolster. They didn't even make playoffs. So SKT didn't really get too much practice against the style. Now they've had this entire tournament to adapt. They could go back, rewatch the semi-final, and that's where they need to show now. They've learned from it, and they can play more reactive to what EDG is doing.
And historically, even going back to the Season 3 World Championship, SKT has been really good at adapting mid-tournament to things that have been happening against them. And obviously the 5 games they played against Fnatic, with the last one being the most successful for SKT, means they're going to have something planned to try and deal with these high-pressure early and mid-game teams.
It was very clear they learned for that last game, because it was more about counter-ganking what Fnatic were trying to do and keep defensive wards, and then you just had Bengi try and shut down Rainover in the jungle to stop this early pressure from coming. Very standard start here. MaRin is gonna set up the camp at the Raptor for himself, and let's just quickly talk about the lane matchups, because what SK Telecom decided to do by giving this Urgot was say, EDG, if you pick Urgot here, you have to go bottom lane, because Urgot is not a strong AD carry in the lane swap. So we pick Kalista Annie, which is one of the strongest 2v2 kill lanes possible, and we take that fight because we know you're going to be on the bottom side. We know we can win it, maybe with a gank, and transition that into a dragon. Meanwhile, also, because Sejuani is locked in for EDG, Cleanse has been taken for Easyhoon, and that's not going to help him in the one-on-one matchup against an Orianna.
We'll see what Easyhoon can do. Definitely was able to get first blood onto Kuro with that Cassiopeia in the mid lane towards their finals. We'll see if he can go as aggressive on it once again. He had Ignite that time. This time he's running the cleanse, so we may see it be a little bit safer. We do get the duo matchup, though. Junglers are in the bottoms. They should be heading towards the top side, so maybe a little time before we get some intervention from them.
And something we've seen a ton of in this event specifically is the junglers actually starting a buff instead of starting at a gromp. But this bottom lane is going to be incredibly aggressive early. Bang and Wolf want to hit level 2 first.
Yeah, typically when we see their bottom lanes help out the jungler on the buff, it's when they want to set him up for very healthy, very early gank on the opposite side of the map. So you can see Bengi's already rushed straight to the blue buff. He's close to full HP once he's played it out and has the potion ticking. So he can look for ganks if he wants to. You can also just play it safe. That's why you get different options for yourself. For Clearlove is on his own red buff, and look at Bengi, he's already moving up towards the Rift Scotland.
Yeah, MaRin was able to push in that lane so he could get some harassment on Clearlove, and Bengi's already on the way. Notice he took Body Slam early right here. He's not yet level 3, but he can dash the wall. But his smite won't be up. But look at how low Clearlove is. He's got a smite right now for the health.
Flashes over, hits Clearlove. That's red buff, though. Not going to be enough slow. And Bengi just gets control of that jungle. See if Clearlove can repair this.
And this whole setup was pre-planned from SK Telecom, and a lot of trading in the mid lane.
That's low mana for Easyhoon. Those auto attacks are stacking up with the clockwork wind up. Pawn shields. Just a few more and it will not be enough. He would have needed 2 more autos.
There's the Gragas.
Oh, Bengi is on call right now for Easyhoon. It's going to be up to him if he can get that red buff after the body slam. 1 more shield in for Pawn. Still has vision from the ghost, but I think Pawn is going to be able to do it. No! He makes it through the dissonance. Then he flashes.
Why wouldn't he flash the body slam?
Pawn was far too conservative with his summoner spells during that gank attempt. Bengi was coming in with no flash. Instead of flashing the initial barrel, he tried to cleanse the slow, but obviously Bengi could get his cooldowns back and land his fat body slam. Pawn obviously couldn't dodge that. If he flashes with the first summoner spell, he saves cleanse and he stays alive.
Really, that body slam was the one he had to just dodge away from. The damage he took from it, the slow and everything, means he goes down. But again, this whole setup from SK Telecom was started by them unleashing the red buff for Bengi so he could rush from the red buff to blue buff, and then have MaRin walk down toward the red buff of EDG, because even if MaRin had been caught out, Bengi would have been nearby to help him. So it's a fairly safe play in that case for him to pull off and look for that invade. Just great scouting also on the jungle pathing of Clearlove, doing blue buff to the wolves and then moving over.
Things not really going in the way of EDG here. They've been hitting the jungle, now the mid lane, and Bengi's getting everything he wants here to start it off. We've said SKT is a little shy in the early game to get things going, but they're out of the gate here.
Well, one of the big ways they pulled ahead of Fnatic at the end of that series was with some slick jungle pathing from Bengi, which then contained the rest of the team and then set up for SKT Dragon Control. They're starting to get this right now. Bengi's first pick Gragas, remember, over the Urgot because they spent 2 bans on him. This is Bengi needing to prove himself as a jungler who can play more than just those Nunu and Rek'Sai.
And it really just seemed like by SK Telecom first picking the Gragas, they knew exactly what EDG was going to pick. We called out the Sejuani was going to come in for Clearlove. We knew the Urgot was going to be locked in. And then they drafted these champions here that could beat them in the early game and use that to play against EDG. And then with the early start, good setup. We mentioned the 2v2 in the mid lane with the Gragas Cassiopeia, how strong it's going to be for SKT. With such a good start, you can already see a CS difference between the two mid laners. This is going to be massive for SK Telecom. Look for these early pink wards to come in around this mid lane here, near the bottom side of the map, so they get some dragon control as well.
Dragon control, also chances to rinse and repeat and go back at pawn with both summoners down. We just see Bengi float from the top side of the jungle here, making sure that side of the map is safe for now. Not really worried about Bang and Wolf. Easily able to control that lane on the bottom side. Koro getting a little aggressive here onto MaRin, but he can't really do anything with it as the way it's going for the turret.
At this point, EDG is almost having to stall out the early game, which is actually not too uncommon for them over in the LPL. They have been able to stall out many games and still pull out later game victories. So at this point, since Clearlove did fall behind fairly heavily, don't expect Clearlove to cross the river into the enemy jungler that frequently, and he would at best try and set up counter ganks with Bengi, since the Urgot Thresh lane is still something that would be able to win 3v3s despite the early disadvantage there.
All these wards right now, seeing Clearlove. They saw him on that scuttle with a ward just down in the brush. Pinged out there by SKT. Good hop from Koro. Just a little aggression here from the top lane. Really making sure that SKT is getting easy lanes everywhere.
Interesting that Koro's sticking around so long. I don't think he'll be able to take anything.
That's worth.
EDG
body slam for flash.
EDG is so greedy in this game. It was a thing they did against AHQ as well, where they were like over-chased for certain kills and ended up dying for it, and really were just so eager to make some plays, it seems, or maybe even save summoner spells we saw before in the mid lane, and now Koro staying around top.
It's definitely a Koro tendency. We saw the Hecarim dives going a little deep. He loves his CS in that top lane. Hopefully it pays off in the end. He only actually fell behind about 4 CS there for his flash, so he's still pretty safe in the top lane. Paying off for him so far. Easyhoon in the face of Pawn right now, and he's forced to use his full mana bar just to keep farming out. Should get a lot of help here from the blue transfer.
This really is just such a problem for Edward Gaming. The fact they can barely move into the river without being spotted by SK Telecom, because they will never be able to set up proper ganks unless they can pull up like a lantern in the bottom lane once Clearlove hits level 6 to try and get something on SK Telecom. Then it's just a matter of time before SKT will start moving in around this dragon here, bait some of these fights with superior vision, and force EDG into bad ones if they take it. EDG is a team though who tend to leave these dragons. Don't mind you getting a few in the early game. It's more about the late game team fights into a Baron.
Oftentimes, EDG will give out those dragons just so they can either parlay that into a Baron or keep their farm up, and that's what it looks like they're going to be going for. I mean, Koro's greed in that top lane was a little bit perplexing, because I was wondering what items he was waiting to find. He goes back, buys a Hex Drinker, and then because he stayed around for that extra wave and a half, picked up a pink ward and a sight ward, which, as far as Gnar in the top lane right now, is just trying to gain some of that vision control back that Clearlove won't be able to provide for him due to his start with his buffs getting stolen away.
A little bit of tussle here over a pink ward in the top. MaRin can't do much. Dragon may also be hard for EDG to fight as well. Pawn here, as you would, leveling his Q against Easyhoon, but that's not going to be able to deliver much damage if they get into a big objective fight down at Dragon with a shockwave. So everything playing in favor of SKT to keep their 90% Dragon numbers up. 90% of the time, they get that first Dragon.
Here's one of those plays around the early pink wards from SK Telecom. Bengi deciding that EDG is playing a little bit too defensive, too far back, realizing that they had no vision around the tri-bush, but they have 2 wards now around the dragon, and Bengi is moving in towards the mid lane.
Very safe play from Pawn so far.
Look for that lantern play from Meiko.
We could see a couple of different ganks here at the same time.
Oh. All right. A little bit of a help there for Pawn to get out.
That's why Pawn needed to bring the cleanse and flash. Because of the threat of the flash body slam, he had to cleanse it immediately, flash before the ultimate could come through. But 1 summoner from the jungler for 2 summoners from Pawn should continue that mid lane so Easyhoon can continue to farm. I really like what SKT is doing here with ganking the mid lane again and again. Not something that Bengi and Easyhoon have been known for as a duo, but it's definitely beneficial here.
Oh, a little bit of love here in the bottom lane. The swap onto Bang. Deft is in a great position to stop him from getting to the turret. Wolf needs to run away right now, and he does so. But EDG make moves in that bottom lane to get Deft
Party
going.
in the bot lane.
We talked about how they could set up a gank here. Lane gank from Sejuani, then lantern from the Thresh. It's hard to do anything against it. And you saw it also flash and swap the Kalista after she'd already pulled in Annie with the ulti, just to keep them in place, force every single defensive summoner, get the kill they need. Meanwhile, top lane, Koro with this early Hex Drinker, putting a lot of pressure on MaRin.
I mean, that's another reason he wanted the ward control, and he greeted for that extra CS. Koro knows exactly when to push his advantages. MaRin is doing his best to try and neutralize this laning phase, which he is so good at as Maokai, and then he can go and make TP plays.
Yeah.
Koro, though, doing his best to keep the pressure up, and EDG may actually get this first dragon out of that.
As soon as Bengi showed in the top lane and Deft died, Bang died in the bottom lane, EDG knows they can go straight for the dragon. This is very important. They stop SKT from getting these early on. So nice setup.
Wow.
Using Meiko and Thresh, one of the picks they got in the first rotation, which has been so important all tournament long.
We've been talking to Fischio about EDG's opportunistic play. They are so aggressive, but only when they see the slightest bit of information. Bengi, even though he's known as a dragon control jungler, showed top lane. As soon as he did that, they take dragon. As soon as he stays top, they go for him.
Not a whole lot of explosive damage from Pawn just yet. They're able to get a few hits onto Bengi here. It doesn't look like, actually it does look like Pawn was missing quite a bit of CS for his troubles on that roam as well. So Easyhoon still doing what he can here. You can see the average first dragon. Usually SKTs, that Baron could also be a problem as well.
Baron a bit earlier for EDG, obviously the one we so often see them get, and then they use that to close out the games for themselves. But Easyhoon been having a great time here in the mid lane. He got an early TS, just been stacking, not been under any pressure, honestly, mainly due to Bengi and the help he's provided in this mid lane for SK Telecom. So they are still heading gold, but Deft also with that kill. Let's see if he's in trouble.
It's dropped on the lantern plays. Meiko getting him out safe.
And just notice the positioning for Meiko here before that play even happens. He's predicting that SKT want to all in, so he positions himself very far back so he can throw that lantern to Deft, who doesn't have a flash anymore, and pull him out. That's just great play as support when you can read, okay, when is there a high chance they will go aggressive, and how do I position myself to help my AD carry?
And it's been really impressive to watch the synergy between Deft and Meiko as the LPL split has progressed. Meiko didn't even start as the main partner for Deft. They were playing mouse in a lot of their earlier games in the LPL. Meiko came in, made some big plays in his first game in the LPL, and there's been no looking back ever since. His Thresh is extremely strong.
His Annie is as well, which is why he knows how to play against it so well. Pawn getting stuck in the mid lane. Easyhoon actually hit him with a Noxus Blast just earlier to stop his back, and it results in the kill as Bengi comes in.
Might not be over yet, Riv.
Oh, Wolf gets the stun on. A good grab there to stop Bengi's extra damage, but they put Clearlove in a perfect spot to take him down. Everybody gets out pretty much unscathed on that one. Looks like a bit of a tussle here between the tanks in the top lane as the wet noodle fight actually getting down to some pretty low HP here, but it looks like they're just going to trade a few smiles and walk away from this one.
Got to talk about the mid lane play from Easyhoon, though. He's used that early advantage again and again. MaRin actually is in trouble.
Hey, no, he's looking for that passive heal. Wasn't enough. Hello, Hex Drinker.
Koro in the end winning the trade here. He flash ulted MaRin back into the tower, and the MaRin instantly just jumped back out. They were fighting for quite a while up there. In the end, a kill for Koro in this Gnar matchup where he will have the pressure. Very well played for the best Gnar player in China.
You almost never see a solo kill onto Maokai, especially MaRin's Maokai. Unbelievable that Koro was able to take him down there. And then the same thing, you don't see Pawn giving up solo kills to Easyhoon, but this Easyhoon is almost like a man reborn when he came out in the finals of the LCK. He got multiple solo kills against the GE Tigers in that final series, and even though he did have a nice start from Bengi here, his ability to take that advantage, not passive farm it, but turn it aggressive.
It's like a newer, upgraded version of Faker.
Oh man.
You're going to get a lot of hate from that. See what Easyhoon can do. I love how these guys are still going aggressive in the mid lane, though, with these passive summoner spells. Easyhoon looks to make a little bit more trouble for Clearlove here as he heads towards the red. Actually, they're just going to go for this pink that was placed some time ago. Easyhoon keeping that in mind.
And it's just so fun to see how both teams are reacting to each other. After that play happened in the bottom lane where Deft was saved by the lantern, he took a lot of damage.
Yeah.
SKT knew, okay, now we can play aggressive in another lane because we can roam before they can on the bottom side. That's why they went for the dive, got the kill safely. Bengi is waiting in the bush here.
How long is he gonna wait?
He's going in now. He's waiting for some more support. Wolf is coming as well.
Wolf should be able to get there in time. Very nicely done. Crowd control a bit stacked there, giving Koro time to move right away. But Wolf has the rest to finish this off. The wallop keeps him in place. Nobody else is roaming up here, and EDG's not able to get live anything. Koro running out, dodges the boomerang back, and gets himself a kill.
The biggest plays from Koro. Look at the bottom lane as well here. EDG, they're trying to respond on the other side of the map.
A lot of resources being used up top. Pawn feels like he has a good fight here against Easyhoon. The blue buff, however, ticking for Easyhoon, and Pawn short on that mana.
Koro is a god of top lane, and he's building up some nice magic just to make those ganks even more difficult for SKT. They send 3, and they lose 1. Unbelievable.
Not expecting that for sure. So much was used in that top lane to take him down. Still has his teleport up, and he actually misses hardly any CS as he gets back to lane here. We'll see how much he can get that lane pushed and what pressure now EDG can start to create. The game is even.
Yeah.
First dragon is theirs with the next one a minute away.
When that gank happened in the top lane, Koro was actually waiting on his Gnar ultimate. It was down at the beginning of this, and he just gets enough CC, jumps away the instant Bengi goes down. The flash is already burned beforehand, and then he gets knocked back, but it doesn't end there, Officio.
So Wolf coming in here. Remember, Koro has so much magic resist, and all the damage here is magic-based onto him. So in the end, also with the ulti, he stays alive, and now he's just keeping the distance. Wolf will use Tippers, just missing.
And flash.
And he gets the boomerang.
Wolf just had a terrible day right there, walking into the turret, because he was hoping MaRin was a little bit ahead. Thanks to the Gnar ultimate, it wasn't. Wolf didn't want to wait a second because he was barely thinking he was in range for the flash tippers, so he ended up taking the turret aggro, and it just cost him his life.
Ooh.
Quick cleanses today.
Super quick cleanse on that one. Meiko thought he was going to be pulling himself in a snake, and Easyhoon slithered away. We'll see what they got on this one. A little bit more action towards the bottom lane, gentlemen.
Yeah, SKT have set up all the wards we normally see from around the river. EDG, there is teleport for them and not for MaRin in this top lane, so they can start it and get a 5 versus 4.
EDG has the TP advantage, and one of the flaws of SKT this tournament has them been fighting over dragons when they aren't actually prepared to do so. Koro could get his teleport interrupted, and they're getting Meiko.
What a choke point for Wolf to mark his territory with Tibbers. Get in there very nicely. Looks like they're going to be all right on this one. And they get out. Dragon could be theirs for the second one. Deft coming up from the bottom side with Clearlove now. And actually, they will reposition. Vision is still there for SKT.
Keep in mind, EDG still has that teleport here. MaRin just not up yet. They're waiting around. Oh, Wolf is so low at this point.
Koro has been engaged in a fight with MaRin. MaRin was pushed back behind his turret, and Koro would be Mega Gnar in a second. So they had to respect the teleport from Koro despite the catch. That advantage and the bullying in that top lane created the dragon opportunity.
So 2 dragons now for EDG. SKT got the mid tower in response. They decided to back away after the first engage. Just take a tower, get some global gold. Yes, you get a dragon, but at least we get something else on the map. But this matchup in top lane, with Koro being such a bully to MaRin, that's going to mean this top tower, if he keeps sitting in the one-on-one, will go down, and there's nothing SKT can really do to stop him. And also, if you look at the lineup for SK Telecom, Bang is obviously the only one doing physical damage. So early on for Koro, he can go for Hexring, he can go for Spectral Cowl very early, gets so much MR that even in the 2v1s, even the 1v3,
3v1s,
he can tank up a lot of damage, and it's only Bang who can really take him down. as long as he keeps stacking some MR here in the mid game.
Yeah, we talked about MaRin being 15-1 in pro play on Maokai. Well, Koro try 18-1 on Gnar.
Isn't that a fantastic thing, though?
These guys win a lot of games, and now somebody does have to lose. Right now, Koro is winning the top lane.
It's going to be a sad day for someone, but we'll still have at least 2 more games depending on how they go in this best of 5 series. 29,000 to 20, just about 28,000. And you can see the goal differences here as we approach 20 minutes.
And as EDG got the bot lane tower a few minutes ago when we had that trade in the top lane, they can now swap Deft and Meiko up here. MaRin already being pushed back, and he's going to have to go back to base if he doesn't die.
The cavalry is coming through the top lane here for EDG as well. This could be where they dive a little too far. They're on to MaRin, but that's going to be Koro going down. Do they know to back up now? No, Clearlove rather says we're going in with a glacial prison. Now onto MaRin once again, but somehow he stays alive again. And now they're back onto Meiko. 6-4 in a dive EDG did not want.
MaRin always making sure to weave in his auto attacks. Here comes the Hoon.
Oh, puts up the box. Bengi's gonna fly right through the wall, pick himself up another one. 3-0-3 on that Gragas pick.
And this right here was how SKT beat Fnatic in Game 5. They read what was about to happen, their aggressive move coming in, and they counter-ganked it instantly. You saw them move from the base, so once the dive happened, Bang was there, the rest of SKT joined in, they turn it around, they get the kills instead.
And it was a beautiful read, too, because Koro had been bullying that lane for a while. The Dragon was down, the bottom turret was down.
Yeah.
That was the natural progression for a smart team to go, was EDG running top lane. SKT also hung back a little bit right there. Every single time EDG committed to the turret is when the next person ended up showing up for SKT.
Do this again.
You just see, look at your minimap here, how both teams are running to this lane. EDG thinks they're going to have a numbers advantage. That's why they go for the dive, but quickly realize, oh, Bang is here now. Bengi is even on his way. And Bang just go way too aggressive. Jumping forward on his own, gets swapped back and dies. But and then, suddenly it's EDG who wants more.
The next person who goes into the turret also gets punished because that's when a new challenger arrives, and it's Bengi. Ooh. Then they continue to fall back. Pawn could not chase Cassio through the mid lane thanks to that disadvantage. And we ended up with another kill for SKT.
We're back, though, in this one-on-one with Koro and MaRin. They keep trading. Koro keep winning out on the trades. Bengi is around, though. We see a lot of wards have been swapped to this top side because both teams were fighting just before. Bengi will be spotted as well. But the rest of EDG is still around. Bang should be able to get a bot lane tower here because Deft is moving away. So as long as SK Telecom can keep defending these outer turrets, they will create a bigger goal lead.
It's like these top laners are going to be mad at their AD carries. They're saying, guys, we're getting all this action, and we're farming better than you. Look at these guys, 198, just about even on Koro's side with all that action in the top lane. Still focusing throughout the chaos up there and still being able to provide for their teams. Still more focused towards this top side. We know EDG's prerequisite to winning a game is having to take that Baron first.
Yeah, and also with EDG moving top side, it exactly is for that Baron. Even a kill onto MaRin, he's all alone.
All right, so 5v1 is probably going to go in favor of EDG on that time. Let's see how SKT can control this.
But honestly, he should have expected this. There's just been so many members around. They haven't seen Deft on the map for a long time. EDG moved there to either take top tower or maybe start an early Baron in case Bang had stayed bottom lane to take tower here. Now it seems like SKT will be able to get something in return because EDG is just backing away, back to their own turrets here.
Every time you send 5 people to one lane, 20 minutes into the game, you're giving up something. This is mainly a turret trade, and I do think, Deficio, it's more about the Baron control when the next Dragon comes up, so there are split points of focus, since mainly EDG has given up a lot of gold in those ganks, and there's a really big power spike there from Easyhoon on Cassiopeia. That's a good initiation.
Oh, looking at Meiko. Wolf still on the front line with his Tibbers, making sure Tibbers is taking those skill shots as they try to get around EDG. They exit towards the top side of the map where Koro will already be taking down that top turret. So no real pressure here for SKT to get back in and fight. They're going to pressure mid.
But all SKT wanted to do was push EDG away from the mid lane and down into the river so they could start pushing up the lanes further, have at least some threat on the tier 2 tower in the mid lane. So EDG stays alive. They end up trading outer turrets for themselves here. But both teams, very early on, starting to group up. This is going to be so much about these big team fights.
Yep.
And both teams are going to be very tanky. If you look at the jungler and the top laner, difference is going to be, of course, the AD carry-wise. Bang is there to try and dance around, get some damage in, where Urgot is just going to stand in the middle and take everything.
And I think another big difference is going to be how the fights start. Because we have seen a lot of games, especially in the LPL finals, where big game-breaking team fights happen just off of killing a ward. SKT as well has made a tremendous amount of success off of finding picks. Wolf with the distortion boots on Annie. We saw him attempting to do it in the mid lane, but he went a little early before the rest of his team was able to support him. Would be one of the big catalysts. So many people capable of making big-time picks on that SKT team.
Yeah, even for both teams, honestly. Sejuani on the side of EDG, flash ulti from Deft can start fights. Meiko has been landing hooks left and right. We should see Righteous Glory being completed soon for MaRin as well, so he adds some more mobility. He likes to delay, to sit on the catalyst and get some tanky stats first, because he also has other ways of engaging through his support in this situation here.
Well, SKT has definitely still been able to find the advantage in this game, keeping EDG to a very uncommon less than a kill a minute here.
He has
very
flash.
tempered in their play. Wolf stopping out Koro. Bengi right into the middle of that one. Flashes himself out. Koro tries to get in. A nice ulti coming out of that, and it looks like they're going to try to keep it going. Pawn goes down. There's no focus from the AP carry in the mid now, and they are going to start wearing down on the tanks. Clearlove falls. Meiko has already gone down. Koro is not long for this world, and Deft is forced to run for the fountain.
And that was a very, very tricky team fight for EDG to take. If you look at SK Telecom and their carries here, both of them have completed at least 2 items, and that's where they spike very hard in terms of damage. We can say 1.5 them for the Kalista. Didn't really complete static shift yet. They didn't die in the engage. They didn't get locked down because of cleanse, so they got to back away and simply start landing down so much damage.
Not just cleanse, the QSS as well on Bang. It doesn't matter how hard Koro wants to force that if they're going to cleanse back, and then Bang and Easyhoon could just rain chaos from the back, do tons of damage to the rest of EDG. And yeah, let's take a look at this again. Koro wants to force that Mega Gnar so badly, and he gets a pretty good Gnar to the wall, but the cleanse just takes him away.
Yeah, cleanse instantly for them. Bang with the QSS, and now you can just see how Easyhoon and Bang are sitting down here. Nobody can touch them because Mega Gnar has been used from Koro, and they have so good sustained DPS, especially from that Cassiopeia. Easyhoon, once again, in terms of the team fights, really showing up. Had a good laning, it's fair to say, too.
None of this damage from EDG impactful enough to turn SKT away from these fights. They're hitting ultimates on 3 people, and SKT is just still knocking at the door relentlessly. Looks like they're going to head back here, easily take Dragon for themselves.
And I feel like we have seen in this game why Orianna as a pick has not been that great lately. We didn't see much pressure in the lane because you can't really. You have to sit back and farm very passive. Well, but SKT controlled that one, thanks to some ganks from Bengi, fair to say as well. And then in these team fights, so much of the current meta is about the mid-game fights near dragons. Orianna, in order for her to become really a big carry, needs to sit on 3 items. And that's where we get the void stuff in as the 3rd item. We only completed 2 now. At this point, 27 minutes in.
Didn't even have the death cap for that fight at the Dragon. Now Koro, top lane was cool beforehand, but he is way outnumbered.
Able to shovel a few backwards, but they already have their assist tag on him. It's not going to be that much of a problem. Actually, I think they're going to give this one over to Easyhoon. Very well chosen there. 3-0-5. He looks to finish his Rabadons quite soon with that kill. Bengi towards the mid lane to make sure there is no pressure that EDG can create here. And right now, SKT being able to take full control of the map. We're not even seeing the wards that EDG regularly places in their enemy's jungle. They haven't even really been on the side of SKT this game.
Very early on in the game, EDG lost a lot of the control in the river. Had to play fairly passive. And most of what they've done is basically come around Koro in this top lane on this Gnar. He's been a hero on his own, but it's just not enough. Especially when they lose that big team fight at Dragon. That's a really big turning point for SK Telecom. They were already ahead, but that's what they needed to get the Baron as well.
But even Bengi's Gragas has been quite on point this game. Being able to gank pawn out in the mid lane, allow Easyhoon to snowball that mid game. Now we have Easyhoon sitting on a death cap as well. The sustained damage that will be coming out of SKT, thanks to Bengi pulling out this 3rd jungle pick and finding success, I think has really caught EDG off guard. They were not respecting Bengi on Gragas whatsoever.
And it's going to be such a big thing in the pick and ban phases to come. The fact that Bengi now has more than 2 jungle champions he can play so well, because again, remember, Rek'Sai Nunu was banned away. EDG suddenly might have to change the strategy and say, okay, Bengi's not the guy we're going to target. We're going to maybe swap it against Easyhoon, try and take away the Cassiopeia Azir if we feel like that's too strong in the team fights. There are multiple changes you can make. Obviously, the teams are swapping side every game here.
And possibly player.
Possible player.
Yeah, there's always that chance.
Always an option that they put Faker in for one of these games. Has to be decided within 5 minutes of the Nexus falling. And it's absolutely a choice that SKT has as they make their way through this best-of-5 series against EDG for the mid-season invitational finals. 12-5 as we come up on 30 minutes. SKT did pretty much thwart EDG's quick 5 Dragons by taking number 3. We'll see what happens here as SKT starts to pressure mid.
And if you look at the map right now and what SKT wants to do, seeing as they don't really have a split push composition, you can't focus on all 3 lanes at once. So they decided to take 2 of the mid lane and top lane. So they completely ward off the jungle and they push down just the 2 lanes at once. Koro is trying to be annoying and buy time for his team, but he's now being caught all alone.
Every time we see him, he's trying to escape down the lane towards
This is good though. This is good because EDG is trying to push the mid lane and then Meiko dies.
And Meiko dies indeed. Not enough forward wards, as we said before, from EDG here that have been placed.
MaRin's
wards
cut them
already.
off.
They're walking right through the site of SKT still, and now they're going to get routed out from MaRin, as you said, Jack. Clearlove's forced to fight him. Deft and Pawn are trying to figure out where they can put their DPS, and Deft actually has to fight MaRin now. There's the shockwave. It only hits Bengi, but there's no damage coming out of EDG right now, and they are still forced to turn around, finally wearing down Bengi. Easyhoon in a good spot now to take down Deft as he gives himself the resistances from the position reverser. But what a skirmish back and forth. EDG looks like they're trying to grab up the scraps here, but SKT is going to find everything that they want. Quickly over the wall, possibly, or is MaRin just going to keep him in place for the last few kills? Not able to get him.
He refuses to die. Koro, keep running. We believe in you.
Oh!
Yep.
Koro was a god.
Don't blink!
SKT, though, have done a great job of itemizing this game as well. That's one of the big things that I think took the wind out of EDG's sails early on here. Having the cleanse on Easyhoon and the 3rd item QSS on Bang, not only to stop the Urgot position reverses, but also to stop any type of Mega Gnar. And then Bang just goes and makes a flat-out mistake in the mid lane.
Bang, he hits the ground. Yeah, that was
right as we're giving him praise. He goes and does that.
All right, so let's see what happened here. Remember, Meiko just got caught out. He's already dead, so MaRin was teleporting in behind, trying to force EDG to take a fight with only 4 members. It's a good start, honestly. They get a lot of good ultis down. The shockwave, though. Look at this one here. Bengi, only one I believe it took damage from. Not even sure if he managed to body slam out of it at first. And now the damage is simply running out for EDG. Once again, Easyhoon and Bang are left to just deal all the damage they want.
2 hyper carries that they have to deal with, and really fed hyper carries, especially if you look at Easyhoon now. 4 completed items after this fight where he picked up the 2 kills.
MaRin.
Koro's so sneaky. But yeah, when we look at the damage dealt the champions chart after this game, I know that Easyhoon's going to be really, really high on it. And that's what's been happening when Easyhoon is in these games for SKT.
Yeah.
He does the majority of the team's damage. These Azir and Cassiopeia picks that he's able to pull out have been absolutely devastating. It's probably the main reason he's, aside from all the other things, that he's seeing a lot of this play over Faker, because his Cassiopeia and Azir are just on that level of its own.
The current meta just fits him so well. You don't have to make big flashy plays in the mid lane. You don't need to be an assassin who can kill you, the enemy mid lane, and start roaming around. You can shine in team fights because so many games are decided around these dragons here, around the barons, in the big 5-on-5. So if you have a guy who can play champs like this at this level, use him.
Use him indeed. You only have to give him a bit to get going. We saw those Bengi ganks towards the mid lane. Just took a flash blown there onto Pawn, and he was not able to control. 325 to 270 in CS in that lane. And we've seen Easyhoon been able to roam multiple times off of the lane as well to create trouble for the other lanes.
And we see Bang taking the dragon on his own here. SKT are so far ahead, you can start pulling off plays like this and also keeping control of the Baron, because again, we know EDG loves to go for that Baron here, so if you send 5 guys to Dragon 33 minutes in, that's a very easy call in for EDG to try at least come back by sneaking a Baron in. And also just like the build we often see, or we always see from Bang. No Hurricane, you have to be able to kill these tanks here, so you need some crit for yourself. He goes for the static shift second, also maxing Q in the lane for people who wonder how he plays it.
So here are the wards now from EDG. Still not many encroaching on the side of SKT's map vision.
Yeah. At this point, SKT has been able to take control back. They picked up 2 dragons. Now, since they've taken out only 4 turrets, they have a couple of options. They can either try and get deep vision control to go for Baron, or they can try and get better wave control and get those other turrets down. They're still running the risk of a really good initiation from EDG, which is why they're taking their time here.
EDG has set up this bottom lane wave almost a minute ago. It's been slow pushing all the way from their own tier 2 tower. Because there's no teleport for MaRin, it was used in the mid lane. They're hoping that SKT will send someone down to clear it and therefore open up for EDG to start a fight around the Baron, 5 versus 4. SKT though, they have full control of it. They keep a lot of members around the mid lane. They don't really send anyone down yet. And now MaRin, because his TP is about to be ready, can go down, catch the entire wave, and he can now start pushing it back. Or SK Telecom can decide that we can play around this side of the map as well, because we have that teleport ready. We can push it in, we can force MaRin to sit there, force Koro to sit there, and then see if you can bait out his Mega Gnar and then potentially start a fight at Baron. There are many ways for SKT at the moment to play the map.
Worked out very nicely that MaRin's teleport is just coming up as he gets the brunt of that bottom wave cleared out, so it'll push back in their favor. We'll see what the follow-up here is from SKT. They could be sideswiped here, but they are completely ready for it. You can see Wolf and actually Bang standing in position if he needs to get a good fake call off.
Yeah, mid lane is not the lane for SK Telecom to push at the moment, because they don't have any deep wards on the top side here where EDG is running around, so you always expose yourself to a flank if you just start pushing up into towards the enemy base. So they have to worry about these 2 outer turrets, and they need to get some wards in the jungle up here on this top side, otherwise this tier 2 tower is gonna stay untouched for EDG, and we're just gonna have this dance around the Baron that nobody really wants to start, because you don't want to risk being caught in there by, let's say, a Sejuani ulti.
Yeah, there's some tight corridors. Yes, there is the QSS and the cleanse still on SKT, but if you find the right thing, there's been a lot of fights we've seen in the LPL where EDG has such great mid-fight target prioritization that they can just burst down the carries if they get their mitts on them and change the total context of the game. You know, Meiko lands 1 hook, gets in for a flay, and the whole game could change. It's unlikely in this time because of how good SKT is and how patient they are being, not to mention the Luden's Echo being completed onto Easyhoon.
Yeah.
Basically, meaning you give him a couple seconds on any target and he's going to kill it from full. SKT is in a position to win, but it's going to take some time.
This is how you make sure you win damage done. As a Cassiopeia, you get Luden's Echo 5th item and you just start spamming away while moving around. Deft can look to target out Easyhoon though with his ulti. That should be the way for EDG to try and get in there. See if you can swap him around, chain CC on him, and of course for EDG, never stay too far away from this Baron because there's a Kalista, and now they're going in for a fight. Let's see if SKT want to take it.
Let's see how they can prioritize this. The ball was on Clearlove, but they pull it back out. Just Koro and Clearlove now to fight 3 Baroned up members. Easyhoon has all the time in the world with Bang and Wolf to fire out the DPS. MaRin with a great flash. Koro slams him up against the wall. They get a great shockwave on 3 members of SKT, but Pawn goes down before any follow-up damage can come through. Easyhoon is still full HP in this fight and just slaughtering people with double fangs. Wolf was able to pick up that last kill. There's one of the hooks that they would have loved in the fight, but it's really just to stave off Easyhoon's final kill. He'll still land the snakes. He'll still pick it up. Easyhoon, easy life.
EDG's not going to get much better than that Gnar into Orianna combo, but then Easyhoon on that Cassiopeia, as we're saying, unless they get him down, he's going to kill everybody.
And normally EDG is a team that's so good at finding the right target in these team fights, but they've been behind nearly all game long, and SK Telecom looking very strong.
Looking at 38 minutes and already on the Nexus turrets. Meiko and Clearlove, pretty big guys, but I don't know if they're big enough or if SKT even cares that they're standing toe-to-toe with them right now. They are going to finish off the Nexus turrets, and it looks like they're going for a few more kills on the stats, along with the Nexus. Game 1 of the finals goes to SKT over EDG.